welcome to yet an exciting Halal Food Podcast. Today, we've got three wonderful people with us from Eyes on Animals and from an organization in Turkey. We've got the pleasure of welcome Miss Leslie Moffat from Eyes on Animals, Asilat and Ahmed in Turkey. So I'm going to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves so that we start straight away. So first of all, let me go to Leslie. Can you quickly introduce yourself and the organization you represent, please?
Yeah, my name is Leslie Moffat, as you said, and I'm the director of Eyes on Animals. It's an NGO that I founded about 12 years ago to reduce the suffering of farm animals during transport and slaughter. And I've got my degree in farm animal behavior, and I thought this is the perfect place to use it, to be able to identify which animals are suffering, how badly are they suffering, and how can we help them in the field. Yeah.
Very wonderful to hear, Leslie. I'm going to move to Asilat. Asilat, let me just explain. He is fluent in Turkish and German. So he will introduce himself in Turkish or German. Then either Leslie or Ahmed will translate it for us. So I'll hand over to Asilat.
Benim adım Asalet. Hayvan refahı ile ilgili uzun yıllardır çalışıyoruz ve büyük bir sorunla karşı karşıya olduğumuzu gördüğümden dolayı da canı gönülden bu işle ilgileniyorum. En çok karşılaştığım sorunlar da
tek yapalım.
Tamam.
My name is Asalet. I'm working on the animal welfare as we are struggling with slaughtering of animals. So we found ourselves in a very big trouble, and I thought that I might be one of the solution of this problem.
Ve ben bu problemin dini bir problem olmadığını işin içine girdikten sonra öğrendim. Kendim de dini bir problem olarak düşünüyordum ama daha sonra bunun dini bir problem olmadığını, biz Müslümanların peygamberi ve kitabı yanlış anladığımızdan dolayı hayvanlara zulmettiğimizi anladığımdan dolayı bu yola düştüm. Ben de buyum.
In the beginning, I thought that this problem is a very religious thing. However, when I go into the problem, I understood that we are commenting the Quran and Muslim in a very wrong way. The problem is not regarding with the Muslim religion, but we comment many sentences and many comments in a very wrong way.
So we will be discussing it. We will give Asilat the opportunity to explain some of these things to the benefit of our listeners and our viewers. So I'm going to move to Ahmed to introduce himself.
Okay, my name is Ahmed. I'm living in Istanbul. I'm an attorney at law, and at the same time, I'm the president of Animal Rights Federation in Turkey. So we are not only working for the welfare and the rights of pet animals, but all the animals struggling with the human bad behaviors, let's say. So we are working also on dolphinariums, the animals in the zoos, the slaughterhouses, the circuses, as well as pets, and we have been doing lots of PR works in Turkey in order to educate people and in order to let them understand the suffering of suffering, the agony which are coming from the human beings. So we try to emphasize, as you may guess, emphasize all the people, all the normal people, neutral people, that all animals are suffering. So we try to find some solutions in a normal, in a rational way, let's say.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. I'm gonna move back to Leslie. Leslie, can you, in a nutshell, what does Eyes on Animal do? Do you focus on slaughter? Do you focus on transport? Do you focus on welfare on the farm? Or what exactly do you do? Can you take us through?
Yeah, in order to be effective, I decided we can't do everything. So I developed Eyes on Animals to focus simply on transport and slaughter. But what I wanted to do is make us an organization that doesn't necessarily campaign or get involved in politics, but focuses solely on field work. So I wanted our teams to be there where the animals were, and in discussion directly with the people handling the animals. So the drivers and the owners of transport companies or the owners of slaughterhouses, to see if together we could find, like Amit said, rational solutions to put an end to the extreme suffering quickly. I don't think we're going to be able to end all suffering, but there's so much unnecessary suffering that takes place during transport and slaughter that by working together and educating people, encouraging better practices, I think we can get it rid of quite quickly. So we're a little bit of a strange group because we have everyone from really animal rights, vegan, veterinarians to ethologists, but we also have butchers that work for us that literally have chosen to work in slaughterhouses who are not vegans, but they do believe in strict animal welfare policies. And they help us train butchers in countries that are lagging behind when it comes to welfare and slaughter. Yeah, well, first thing I have to say is I think European legislation, I don't know if I would say it protects the welfare. I would say it protects animals against the worst case scenarios of suffering. For example, CO2 stunning of pigs, I don't think is promoting welfare, but yes, it is better than cutting them when they're fully alive, but still it causes suffering problems. And I don't want to generalize too much. There are some very, very poor slaughterhouses in Europe, and there are some people at some slaughterhouses in Turkey that are very open to making things better. But in general, Turkish slaughterhouses, the biggest problem is there's still far too much live hoisting, which means animals are being restrained and chained by legs, goats, sheep, cattle, even large cattle of 800 kilograms, by one leg when they're fully conscious. And then the other thing is they also have their throats cut while they're fully conscious. This is considered a religious issue by some, but it's not. Asla will get into that later. It's more of a tradition that we're trying to break. But although we're teaching stunning and encouraging animals to be stunned first, there's still so much that can be done before the actual killing that can also reduce suffering. For example, getting rid of live hoisting. Animals should only be killed when they're in a natural standing upright position and shouldn't be forced to endure chains and live hoisting anymore. And that we see in Turkey, and that is not allowed in Europe, except for chickens, unfortunately, and rabbits. They're still live hoisted.
Now I'm gonna move to Asalat and Ahmed. I want you guys, Leslie has mentioned live hoist. Can you, as people on the ground, take us through the problem? How prevalent is live hoisting in Turkey? Is it only done in maybe 10% of abattoirs, or is it widespread? If it's widespread, what have you done about it?
Ahmed, would you like to translate? I can also help.
No, go ahead, please, in German.
Okay, Aslan, Aval hat eine Frage für dich. Kennt jemand, der ist basiert in Türkei, der meint, dass Tiere werden nicht mehr aufgehängt, lebendig. Und das ist eine Überraschung für mich und für dich, weil wir haben das natürlich fast immer gesehen. Kannst du ein bisschen darüber erzählen? Wie oft siehst du das und wie sieht das aus in einem Schlachthaus in Türkei?
Türkiye'de kesimhanelerdeki hayvanların kesimlerinde hayvanlar %90'ı asılarak kesiliyorlar. Ayaklarından asılarak kesiliyorlar.
90% of farm animals in Turkey have been strained and chained from their legs while they are fully conscious.
Fakat bazı kesimhaneler böyle çevirmeli, bu rotasyonel kabinler kullanıyorlar. Bazıları 3-5 tanesi veya 10 tanesi diyelim. Bunları görenler de modernleştiklerini zannediyorlar ama orada da durum farklı değil. Sadece kenarları, kutunun kenarları kapalı olduğundan dolayı hayvanın içinde çırpındığından haberleri yok.
Some 3 or 5%, let's say that, are not using this strained and chained way, but in a circular machine that keeps the animal inside. However, the suffering of the animal is same. People think that in the slaughterhouses think that this is a modern way compared to the other one. However, it is the same agony that animals have been suffering. So nothing has been changing.
Maybe I can just add to that. So what Asad was explaining is the rotational boxes. Yeah. Yes, there have been, I think we've seen them twice in use, or 3 times now, but they're not the great quality ones. The animals have far too much room to move. So when they've been turned upside down, they're in fear. And the other problem that we've noticed is as soon as they're cut, they're released. And a bovine has the artery going through their vertebrae. So just because you cut their throat doesn't mean they're dead. They need about 2 minutes for enough blood to get out, if the cut is done well, for them to lose fully their consciousness. So if you release them after the cut right away, they fall with their open injured wound onto the insulations, and then they're still hung up when they're partly conscious. And we ask them, why do you release them so quickly? And either they don't know that that's the problem, they really think as soon as I make the cut, the animal's dead, which is completely not the case. And the other reason is, of course, money. It takes too long to wait 2 minutes per animal. They want to release the animal from the rotational box and get the next one in. So it's, from our point of view, it hasn't been much welfare friendlier. And like Aslat said, we've only seen it a few times. The majority is live hoisting, even of large cattle.
That's very interesting to know. And also one comment I'll add to that is there is actually a verse or a hadith, which is the teachings or the approvals of the Prophet, that says when you are killing an animal, when you slaughter the animal, you need to be patient. You need to wait until the animal is completely dead before you move it on. So if you cut the neck, you have to wait. You have to be patient. Wait until the animal dies before you further process it. Have you tried using religion to convince them? Because some of them may be cultural, nothing to do with religion. Have you tried using religion to convince them?
Yes, definitely. I think this is a good question for Aslat. Ahmed, do you feel comfortable explaining that to Aslat, what was just said?
Okay, I'll translate.
Yani tabii ki çok seferler deniyorduk. Oradaki kesim şekillerinin yanlış olduğunu, hayvana bunun bir kötülük olduğunu, hayvanı kestikten sonra beklemeleri gerektiğini, canının çıkması gerektiğini beklemelerini her seferinde söylüyorduk ama bu bir sanayi. Dakikada bir hayvan kesmeleri lazım. Kimseyi dinledikleri yok. O hayvanın da acısını dinledikleri yok.
Of course, we have asked them to wait, to be patient until the animal is dead. However, this is an industry, so they don't have time to wait to the animal's death. They don't have time. The other animal must come and must be slaughtered at once. So in an industrial way, you can imagine that it's like a factory, you know, cereal factory. You have to do everything in a very quick way. It's not like in a village, you know, you have only one animal, you wait, you pray, you have patience. Then with one animal, you stop your duty. When it comes to an industrial way, you know, the animals are on the queue, waiting to be slaughtered.
Yeah, this is a big problem that we have.
Eklemek isterim. Ahmet Bey, şunu da kısaca eklemek isterim. Hocalar gelip kasaplara şunu söylüyorlarmış. Lütfen hayvanlara peygamberin istediği gibi davranın. Ama kasaplar da hocalara diyor ki o zaman gelin siz kesin böyle bir dakika içinde hayvanı. Yani hocalar kafadan bir fetva atıyorlar ama uygulaması mümkün değil.
The hojas, when they come to the slaughtering place, they...
Who is hoja? Who are the hojas?
Imams or
imams. Yeah.
Okay, they advise to those butchers that to wait and be patient, and they have to do it just like our prophet did it once. Then the butchers answers that then the prophet may come and can do by himself as he had done centuries ago. So that means that it is impossible to do that in an industrialized world.
Leslie, you wanted to add something from the
what I wanted to add, I'm not a Muslim, but I do buy organic food, or I buy food that says welfare friendly. And what I want to ask the Muslim community is, I know that they put a lot of importance to having food that has a halal certificate. So we've met with halal certificate companies or certifiers, and I really feel that they're the target. They're doing bad work in Turkey, because all these slaughterhouses where we've seen very serious suffering, they have halal certificates. And then I think, it's not being very honest to customers, because most customers, they feel like when I buy halal meat, the halal rules or the essence of halal is being respected. But if that's not the case, then are we not tricking the customers? Just like when you buy organic food and you find out later it's actually not organic. It's not fair to customers.
That's an important point, Leslie, because most halal certify. So most halal consumers, if I'm selling this product and I write on it that it is halal, many consumers will expect that the animal has gone through a welfare friendly system, is being slaughtered halal, and is suitable for their consumption. Now, Leslie, another question before we move on to slaughter, I've got for all of you is animals can be restrained by live hoisting in Turkey, by standing position, by rotating box. Which of these are your recommended restraints?
Yeah, I can answer that. I think Asla will agree with me. We really recommend, just like Temple Grandin does as well, where possible, to always keep the animal in a natural standing position. Because when you move an animal onto its back, especially a prey animal like a sheep or a bovine, they get in panic. That's what you learn when you study animal behavior, that for us, it may be okay to be on your back. You may even find it relaxing, but a prey animal always wants to be able to flee. And if it cannot flee, then it panics. You can almost cause as much agony and stress to an animal by bringing it to a vet as to a slaughterhouse if you don't keep the animal calm. It doesn't know that it's getting a needle from the vet or a knife from a slaughter. So you have to keep the whole process calm in order to protect its welfare. So upright is the best, as in a natural position, and ideally you would render the animal unconscious before cutting its throat so it doesn't have to experience the pain of having its entire throat cut open. It's not just a small bit of skin, but it's the esophagus, it's the trachea, it's the arteries. So that's very sensitive tissue and deep tissue that has to be cut through.
Yeah.
The other thing that we see is some slaughterhouses are not using very long knives, and yet they're killing animals, for example, charolais, that have very large throats. So to have longer knives and make sure they're really sharp, because we rarely see that animals are being cut in one movement. Sometimes that's just physically not possible.
Yeah, yeah. Now my last question.
Ben şunu eklemek istiyorum Leslie'ye. Hayvanların ayakta kesilmeleri hakikaten bizim gördüğümüzde en güzel sistem. Çünkü hayvan hiçbir şekilde o anda korkuyu yaşamıyor, zincire vurulmuyor, yere düşmüyor, boynuzları betona çarpıp kırılmıyor. Ama tabii bayıltma şartıyla olması gerekiyor. Şunu da ekleyerek Ahmet Bey çevirin. Bir de Kur'an'da Hac suresi 36. Hac suresi 36'da Allah semiz hayvanları, yani koyun da olabilir, iri hayvanların ayakta kesilmelerini emrediyor diyelim. O öyle yazıyor. Bu da güzel bir işaret, hayvanların ayakta kesilmesi gerektiğine. Ama bayıltılarak.
Adding to Leslie's sayings, that I'd like to add that in Quran, the Hajj section number 36 states out that all animals must be slaughtered when they are in up position, when they are standing up position. So you have to relieve them.
Which chapter is that? Quran chapter?
Hac suresi nasıl denir tam bilmiyorum. I'm not sure about how is it said in Quran. Hajj.
Yeah, Hajj. Surah Hajj.
Section 36.
Okay, yeah, that will be very relevant for people to look at. The reason why I'm saying this is my next question was gonna be, many Muslims have historically slaughtered animal on the side, on their left side, and some people have attributed this to what the Prophet used to do. Do you think trying to change this tradition is going to be difficult because they are always used to putting them on the left? Do you think trying to change them to what Leslie has advised in a standing position is going to be a challenge? Maybe you and Aslat will be better to answer.
Anladınız mı? Müslümanlıkta sol tarafa yatırılarak hep yüzyıllardan beri öyle olduğu düşünüyor. Bu geleneği değiştirmek kolay olabilecek mi? Siz hep ayakta kesilmesini söylüyorsunuz dedi.
Şimdi şöyle bir şey var. Eğer insanlar kabin sistemine geçerlerse, ki onlar için de daha kolay olacaktır. Hayvan yürüyerek bir kabine giriyor, ayakta duruyor. Kafasını dışarı çıkarıyor, orada bayıltılıp ayaktayken yere düşüyor. Bu hem Kur'an'daki ayete uygun, Hac 36'ya uygun, hem de İnsanların rahatı için hem kendileri çok rahat edecekler hem hayvana eziyet etmeyecekler. Böylece hem kendileri rahat etmiş olacak hem de peygamberin sözünü aslında bu şekilde yerine getirecekler. Çünkü peygamber hayvana eziyet etmeyin diyor. Onlar da düşünmeleri lazım. Yani yavaş yavaş zor ama başaracağız diye düşünüyorum.
If the animals come into the cabin when they are standing up, it will be very relieved for the animals as well as also for the butchers. And our prophet says that we mustn't torture to none of the animals. So the best way is to put them in a cabin, in a room, and the animal will not suffer that agony. So this is the best way to do animals when they are slaughtering.
But well, if you're asking if it'll be difficult to change, yes, it will. In all cultures, not just in the Muslim faith or in Islamic countries, traditions are always difficult to change. Humans are, they are so difficult to change when it comes to traditions. We have it here in the Netherlands with Zwarte Piet, which is a tradition that a lot of people are saying it doesn't belong anymore in our culture. It's not respectful. But even people here say, no, we've had it for generations and generations. There are some things that are traditional, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's good. We can keep the tradition of sharing food, of saying thanks. That's all important, but we can update our traditions with new scientific information and new moral decisions. So I think it's a matter of communicating and talking and showing new ways, but still keeping the spirit of the tradition, but getting rid of the suffering that we didn't know existed back then, but now we do.
Thank you
Ve
very
diyoruz
much.
ki,
Okay.
hayvanı ayaktayken bayıltalım da bayılttıktan sonra ister sağa yatır, ister sola yatır, hiç önemli değil. Kuyruğundan çek, kıbleye çevir. Ne yaparsan yap, yeter ki baygın olsun.
What we say is that let's faint and how can I say it in English?
Maybe Leslie can help.
Yeah, try it.
Let's have faint the animal. Let the animal sleep by using our machine.
Let's stun the animal, you mean?
Yeah, let's stun the animal first
Yeah.
of all. If you want, you can either put it on the left-hand side or to the right-hand side. Or
If you
can
stun him first.
Tail. I don't care. The important thing is that let's have it on consciousness. After that, let's slaughter the animal. That's the main point.
That's you've moved on to my next topic, which is on stunning. I've seen that Eyes on Animals are doing a lot in terms of stunning, introducing stunning in Turkey. Leslie, why did you take a decision to encourage the use of stunning in a country that is traditionally Islamic, in a country that you knew will be opposed to stunning?
Yeah, Turkey was just by hazard. In 2011, the border between Europe and Turkey opened, and Turkey was importing a lot of cattle and sheep, and Europe was exporting their unwanted sheep and cattle to Turkey. So it was just a business decision. And I was being called by truck drivers saying, you must come, there's long waiting lines, and in the summer it's difficult for the animals because they don't have much water and they're stuck on the trucks for days. So I ended up going there, and I saw a lot of animals suffering and even dying on trucks. And I was trying to call the authorities, the vets in Turkey, to euthanize some of these animals or to at least butcher them. And they didn't have stunners. So the only thing they could do was cutting their throats on a truck, which was causing a lot of suffering, and it wasn't the ideal situation. But in most cases, these injured animals were being transported further because the importer said, I'm the owner, the meat is still good. So we saw animals that had had a cesarean that were then reloaded and sent to slaughter. And at the unloading ramp at these slaughterhouses, they were just left on the ramp and then dragged by chains, hoisted and then cut. And I thought, wow, this is pretty bad here. I mean, we need to do something. And Aslat is a good friend of mine. I used to live in his neighborhood. And this is about 10 years ago. I said, Aslat, can you help me? Aslat is a great guy. He's very motivated. He knows a lot about his faith. He knows a lot about animals. He spoke Turkish. So I thought I've got someone who's skilled with the right language. Let's try. Let's go for it. I don't want to go to a country where I don't speak the language or have anyone really good, but I had someone good. And Asad is really passionate about it. So since then, we've been working at least 3 to 4 times a year in Turkey, helping the staff of slaughterhouses understand why this is safer for them and better for meat quality and much better for animal welfare. Also meeting with the religious authorities, Diyanet, and with the Ministry of Agriculture. We're simply there to assist in the awareness. So that's why I chose Turkey. But we also work in Ghana, as you know, and there in northern Ghana, we have the same issues with religious slaughter, with halal slaughter.
Okay, so
Biz şöyle başladık ama benim Leslie ile başladığım zaman karşımıza çıkan herkesten bu yaptığımız işin İslam dışı olduğu söylendi. Dediler ki siz bir hayvanı bayıltırsanız o ölür. Ölürse murdar olur. Şimdi tabii ki bu bir büyük sorundu ve dediler ki bunu asla başaramayacaksınız. Çünkü bayıltılmış hayvan ölüyor, ölüyorsa bu murdar olur. Ve biz dedik ki şu kitaba bir de biz bakalım. Yani hep onlar bakıyorlar. Bir de biz bakalım hakikaten böyle mi? Ben bir Müslüman olarak kitaba baktığım zaman Maide suresi 3 hiç de öyle olmadığını anında fark ettim ve büyük bir inançla yoluma çıktım. Buyurun.
When we first started this volunteer work, many people told us that we are doing something against Islam. And when you stunt the animal according to the Islamic religion, the animal is accepted not to be eaten. It's not accepted as let's say halal, haram. It's accepted as haram. Then I thought, let me check Quran. Is it written like that? However, when I have seen that Maide section number 3 in Quran, pointing out that it is not stating out something like that. So I thought that I understood that we know Quran in a wrong way. In a wrong way. So when you stunt the animal, it's not a problematic way. It is already written in Quran that you have to give the less pain to the animal.
Yeah.
So many people commenting the Quran and the sentences in a wrong way.
Yeah, that is a very, very important statement you've made. I just want to note down the surah, the chapter, so that others who are listening can go and refer to it. Did you say Surah Al-Ma'idah?
Ma'idah Surah section 3.
So chapter 5 verse 3. Yeah, Surah Al-Ma'idah is Quran chapter 5 verse 3. It outlines things that are acceptable and things that are not acceptable. Now, my question to you, Aslat, is I have come across scholars who believe that at the end of that chapter verse 3, it says things that are prohibited. So strangulation is not accepted. Beating animals is not accepted. Killing animals by a blow is not accepted. And many scholars have said because the Quran says killing animals by a blow is not acceptable, captive bull stunning, because it hits the head, they interpret it to be a blow. How do you defend that?
Şöyle söyleyeyim. Şimdi burada bu ayetleri teker teker okumam lazım ki arkadaşlar da rahat etsinler. Çünkü onların gönüllerine konuşmamız lazım.
I have to read all the chapters from Quran right now, one by one, in order to get their hearts, first of all.
Ayet diyor ki, Hurrimet aleykum el meytetu. Yani, forbidden for you are carrion.
Carrion, yeah.
Carrion.
Yeah.
What is carrion? What is carrion? Yani kendiliğinden ölmüş bir hayvan. Hangi tefsire bakarsak bakalım, buradaki meyte, kavram meyte, kendi başına ölmüş bir hayvandır. Ve hastalıktan dolayı. Bu bir.
It's difficult to translate this part.
I can help Ahmet because I know this by heart. But you start and I'll help.
Okay. Asaf Bey, orayı biraz daha açar mısınız benim daha rahat tercüme edebilmem için?
Kur'an diyor ki, bu ayette 5-6 tane kelime var. Birinde diyor ki, size haram kılındı meyte. Meyte nedir?
Dead animals.
Carry
Meyte
on.
bu. Carry on, also das ist eine Tier, der von sich aus gestorben
Yeah,
ist.
a carry
Kendi
on
ölmüş hayvan.
is from an animal
Meyte.
that died of its own reasons that sometimes you don't know. It could be long dead, and the meat is no longer fresh. It's vergammeld. Now, how do you say that in English? It's well, what is it called when meat becomes bad? It's rancid.
Yeah,
Rotten.
it's spoiled. Let's
Sonra-
Spoiled. Yeah. So, and there's a
Sonra
reason.
devam ediyor. Diyor ki ayet diyor ki demmun ve dem'u. Dem'u kan demek. Yani akmış kan. Böyle bardakla kan içemezsin. Hayvanın içindeki haram değil diyor. Bu 2. Sonra diyor ki dikkat edin diyor. Vel munhanikatu. Yani boğularak ölmüş bir hayvan. Bak 4 tane şey sayıyor burada. Vel munhanikatu. Boğularak ölmüş hayvan. Vel mevkuzatu. Dövülerek ölmüş hayvan. Vel mutaraddiyatu. Yukarıdan düşerek ölmüş hayvan. Vel natihatu. Boynuzlanarak öldürülmüş hayvan. Ve ekele seb'u. Hayvanlar tarafından yenilmiş bir hayvan. Yenilerek öldürülmüş. Yani bu hayvanların hepsi ölü. Ve o kadar güzel bir cümle geliyor ki İlla ma zakkeytum. Siz bunların böyle öldüklerini biliyor iseniz bunlar haramdan istisnadır. Eğer siz bunların böyle öldüklerini biliyorsanız ve bunları vaktinde keserseniz haramdan istisnadır. Bu durumda bu hayvanı bayıltırken ölse bile bu haramdan istisnadır. Ayet çok açık. Çünkü devamında bir şey daha var. Bir dakika. Devamında da şöyle diyor. Vema zubiha alen nusub. Yani siz tapınaklara kestikleriniz hariç. Orada kesmek kelimesini kullanıyor zaten. Zubiha kesmek demek. Zubiha. Ama insanlar kalkıp bu ayeti tercüme ederken parantez koyuyorlar Ahmet Bey. Parantez koyuyorlar ve hayvana canlı yetişeceksin diyorlar. Allah'ın ölü dediği hayvana canlı nasıl yetişebilirler? O kadar güzel açıklamış ki aslında olayı.
Okay. Strangled animals, beaten animals, fallen animals, and eaten animals. If they are fresh and if they are just dead, it is not haram according to the Quran. But many people think that since these animals are not fresh, so you cannot eat. However, when we read Quran, it points out that if these animals has been just dead, if they're just dead, and if we know that they are very recently killed, so you can eat them. So the same thing is also valid when we stump them. So when we stump these animals, which we aim that they will not suffer anymore, so we can eat them as well. The only thing is that they will not suffer anymore. And the Quran says that halal meat means that it's healthy meat. So when we stump the animals, they are still healthy. They are not dead. Their heart is still beating up. So you can still beat them. What we do is that we let them have unconsciousness. Then we kill them. So this is what Quran says actually. We are not eating the dead animals. We are still eating the fresh animals and live animals. We kill them after giving them stunts.
Okay. Thank you.
Şunu eklemek isterim. Tam anlaşılsın diye. Hurrimet aleyküm el meyte, yani kendiliğinden ölmüş bir hayvan haram diyor. Benim öldürdüğümü haram demiyor ki Allah. Yani ölmüyor da ölse bile ben öldürdüm onu. O kesimin bir parçası.
If animal dies by himself, it is haram. If I kill the animal, it is not haram. So if I stump the animal, it's still alive. So it's not against Quran.
Okay, so now I want us to focus on one point. In the same surah, which is Surah Al-Ma'idah, that is Quran chapter 5, verse 3, it says, you cannot kill an animal by a blow to the head. But some Muslims or some scholars have interpreted captive bull stunning as a blow to the head because it's a mechanical device that hits the head before unconsciousness. How can Asalat approve it, or what explanation has he got for that bit, just the blow to the head?
Şimdi hayvanı vurdukları zaman benim Kur'an'dan anladığım şu, hayvan ölse bile helal. Çünkü burada ölülerin helal olduğunu söylüyor. Şimdi vurulduğu zaman kalp çalışmaya devam ediyor, bir. Çünkü bunların ikisi ayrı çalışıyorlar. Birisinin elektriği başka, birisinin elektriği başka çalışıyor. Ama
when they hit the animal, the heartbeat is still continuing.
Çünkü ölmüş bir kaza geçirmiş bir insanın kalbini alıp 24 saat sonra başkasına takabiliyorsun. Bu kalp çalışıyor. Bu kalp beyinle beraber çalışmıyor. Kendi başına çalışıyor.
When a human being has an accident, you can take his heart and implant it to another person in 24 hours. The heart is still working. It's still tipping. So it's same for the animals.
So you're saying after being
It's not
stunned,
dead.
the heart is still
The brain
beating,
and the
so it's
heart
not
is not
dead.
working, simultaneously. The brain might dead, but the heart is still pumping.
Ve bir de şu yanlış bilgi var. Hayvanı kafasından vurdukları zaman kanı akmaz diye düşünce var. Bu tamamen yanlış bir bilgi. Bütün ölçümlerde aynı şekilde kan akıyor. Yani bir hayvanı bayılttığınız zaman da, bayıltmasanız da aynı ölçüde kan akıyor. Hiçbir farkı yok.
When you stunt the animal, the blood is still going out. It's the same.
Okay, now it's an interesting conversation, and I'm sure many people will be listening to it very keenly. Asalat has just introduced another layer into the discussion, which is death. How do Muslims or how do scholars define death? So I have written a paper on this, and when I was doing my research, I realized that 1400 years ago, at the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, our understanding about neuroscience was not as it is now. So death was defined by many people based on different parts of the body, but not on the brain. But today, death is defined based, if you look at the medical definition of death in the UK, it's defined as the irreversible loss of function of the brain stem. In America, it's defined as the irreversible loss of function of the whole brain. So now, if we look at the medical definition, that death is based on the brain. So that means the heart can still be moving, and Temple has written on this. The heart can still be moving, but the animal will be declared, or the human being will be declared as dead. So what I want, the clarification I want from Aslat is he defining death based on the function of the brain or the function of the heart? Because, and I'm just gonna give him a clue here, if he's defining death based on the function of the brain, captive bolt will almost always result in brain death. But the heart can keep moving for up to 10 minutes after brain death. So he should clarify so that people can understand his reasoning.
Şimdi Kur'an-ı Kerim'e göre bir kere anladım da. Kur'an-ı Kerim'e göre bir kere Maide 3 ölmüş hayvanın ölüm sebebini biliyorsan helaldir dediğine göre bu konuları aslında konuşmaması lazım Müslümanların. Çünkü neden öldüğünü biliyorsun. Ben öldürdüm ve 10 saniye sonra kestim. Fakat kalp mi önemli veyahut da beyin ölümü önemli, hangisi önemli onu sordu anladığım kadarıyla, yanlış anlamadıysam.
Evet.
Şimdi ben onu araştırdım. Mesela bir insan yavrusunun ilk önce daha fötüsken, küçücük bir nokta kadarken önce kalbi çalışıyor. Pıtır pıtır pıtır kalbi çalışıyor. Beyin yok ortada. Beyin bir ay sonra meydana geliyor. Yani canlılık kalple başlıyor. Bu bir. Ama ben bunu bir arkadaşıma sordum, bir doktor arkadaşıma. O dedi ki deniz analarının kalbi de yok, beyni de yok ama canlılar. Anlatabiliyor muyum? Buyurun. Ama
According to the Quran, Maide section 3, verse 3, if you know the death result of an animal, then you don't have to search why it is dead or not. If you know why he's dead, why the
The
animal is
cause
dead,
of death.
The
cause of that,
Yeah.
then there is no problem. And what the heart and the brain functions separately. It's not working simultaneously. Maybe you are asking the brain or the heart. However, when a human being baby is born, first of all, the heartbeat starts. The brain works 3-4 months later on. So when what we are saying here is that I'm repeating again, when we stunt the animal, the heart still beats, even the brain is dead, but animal is still alive. So as long as the animal is alive, so you can stunt and you can eat it. The Quran doesn't say anything obstacle against this. Maide 3 is very clear.
But I guess the definition, what you brought up, well, is nowadays, the definition of death is the brain is dead. And indeed, when you use a captive bolt pistol, you can damage the brain so much that the brain is dead. Not always, but there is a high chance of it. But I think Asalai, what he tries to do is bring in, the essence of religion, the essence of the Muslim religion, and the essence of these rules. I think, if I can speak for Asad, he is trying to let people know that there's a logic to these rules. At the time, you wanted to protect people from eating rancid meat because it could kill you, it could make you very sick. So you had to teach the people back then, don't pick up animals that were killed on the street by a horse or by a stone, because you don't know why the animal died. You could get sick from it. The blood is still in the animal. It could be rancid. But if you know why the animal died, for example, you see an animal drown right in front of you, or you see an animal getting hit by a bow and arrow by a hunter, you can eat that animal because the meat is fresh, and the animal, you know why it died. It wasn't because of cancer or disease, but because it got a blow to the head by an arrow, for example. And I think hunting is allowed as well in the Islamic,
that's great. Yeah.
In the Muslim religion. But I think what we should do, just as a naive person that looks on the side, is let's get back to the essence of religion. And I think the essence of all religions is love, and try not to cause suffering unnecessarily. And what I'd like to do as a person on the side is ask people in the Islamic community, and also in the Jewish community, and also in the Christian community, to actually put our faith into practice, put love into practice. If we know that something, a modern technique can reduce suffering, let's embrace it. Because I think that God would probably want us to do what's softer and more gentler to animals. And I think we get all focused on these little details, and we're missing the bigger picture. If we're going to focus so much on to stun or not to stun, why aren't we putting way more energy into to hoist or not to hoist? Why do we still see hoisting? Let's together get rid of the worst suffering and get back to the essence of religion.
That is a very good point, Leslie. And I think Muslims should advocate for welfare for the whole life of the animal, not just one part, but the whole life of the animal. But look, I need to ask another question here. You know, electrical stunning is one that many people accept. I'm not saying everyone. Captive bow stunning is still a very contentious method that many people will not accept. And I'm sure you going around, you would have had a number of opposition. Why have you not, Leslie, taken that route, but taken the mechanical stunning route?
Because I am so worried that we will cause more suffering. But if I go to Ghana, for example, half the time the electricity, the power runs out. And I've seen slaughterhouses, halal certified slaughterhouses that purposely use very low voltage and low amperes to really be sure that the animal just gets shocked, but can come back to life quickly. And they're coming back to life before the cut is made. So I don't want to go down a route that gets into the details. I'd rather look at the essence of what we're doing. And the essence is, what is the best technique within that country and its abilities, access to technology, to make sure the animal does not come back to life when you're putting the knife in its throat or when you're hoisting it alive. And I'm worried that electric stunning, if it's not done properly and not with enough amperes and voltage, you can do so much more damage than help. And you need a lot of money for the good equipment. Yeah, you know that. So I just think for Turkey and for Ghana, a captive bolt pistol is a very humane tool to put an animal, make an animal unconscious quickly. It's not expensive. Anyone can use it. Electricity is much more complicated to do it properly.
Yeah, you mentioned Ghana.
Bir de şu var Hava. Mesela bu elektrikli bayıltıcılar da Leslie'nin dediği gibi o voltajını ayarlamak hem zor hem de diyelim ki kafanın şu kemikli olan yerine tuttunuz. Orada akım da geçmiyor. İlla da gözlerde tutacaksınız ki hayvanın, o diyotları gözlerine tutacaksınız ki beyine doğru akım geçsin de hayvanı bayıltabilsin. Ama diyelim ki kasapları sokaktan buluyorlar. Kasap pek eğitimli değil. Tutup kafatasını oraya tuttuğu zaman ne olacak? Hayvan sadece felç olup acı çekecek. Ondan dolayı biz elektrikliden yana değiliz. Yani ben öyle...
We are not encouraging the electric stuff because most of the butchers are not very well trained and educated, so they don't know how to use that machine. They have to use it over the eyes. However, they might use it back of the brain, the head, so the animal will be paralyzed, which will, at that time, we will give more harm to the animal. So we are not recommending the electrical stuff.
Well, even in the Netherlands, by very trained butchers, I continue to see pigs that are not debled on time, that are fully conscious hanging while the guy goes and cuts them. And so I'm worried, I'm worried we do more harm than good. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much on that.
Şunu söylemek istiyorum. Yani kolayı varken niye sorunu seçelim ki? Yani
If we have an easy way, why are we forcing ourselves to use the most difficult way? We have the easiest way. Why are we forcing ourselves?
Okay, well, I get it.
Şöyle bir sıkıntı var. Bu Olsen Schuss'tan niye sıkıntı duyuyoruz? Çünkü kafaya böyle bir çivi giriyor ya, böyle bir çivi girdiğinden dolayı birdenbire irkiliyoruz. Bunun sebebi aslında alışık olmadığımızdan dolayı. Bir kere yapsak, 2 kere yapsak artık o sorun kalkacak aradan. Empati yapalım. Kafaya bir salise içerisinde bir çivi çakıp bayıltmak mı? Yoksa 3-5 defa boğaza bıçak saplamak mı?
Bu alete ne diyordunuz, pardon?
Stunner.
Stunner.
Captive bolt stunner.
The stunner machine, people are against it because they don't know how to use it and they haven't seen so far how to use it. In this stunner, the needle in front of that stunner just goes into the brain less than 1 second. So the animal doesn't feel anything. It goes and comes back less than 1 second and just feel unconscious. So people will learn how to use it. Let's make it empathy. Which one should we choose?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question for people to discuss, for listeners, for viewers to discuss. I'm going back to Leslie. Leslie, you mentioned your work in Ghana. I'm originally from Ghana. I know Ghana is not a Muslim country. Ghana is the majority of them are Christians. And I know a lot of pigs are slaughtered in Ghana. Have you been able to convince the non-Muslim community to stand pigs?
Well, you know very well I work in Ghana and I'm working with WACPA there, West Africa Center for the Protection of Animal Welfare. And yeah, together with them, we've gotten captive bolt stunning in place in about 5 slaughterhouses. And they're using them on pigs. It's going well, except that there's no local manufacturer of captive bolt pistols in Ghana. So we always have to import them from, well, we chose a company in France, but there are very few countries in the world where people can easily access captive bolt stunners and cartridges because it's seen as a weapon, and they're not manufacturing them. And to import them, it's tricky, but we did figure out a way for Ghana and for Turkey. And in the northern part of Ghana, where there are a larger population of Muslims, it has been difficult. Like in Tamale, the slaughterhouse there does not accept captive bolt stunners. We have shown them how it works, and a lot of the people actually look on and like it, but it's still seen as a taboo to accept it. So that's something we have to break, is the taboo, because I do believe, and I see it, that inside a lot of people see that it's advantageous for welfare, meat quality, but also for their own safety. But it's not yet politically correct to accept it in public. But I think it'll take time. It's not something you should force down people's throats. You have to explain it, and it's a cultural thing. So culture needs time to adapt.
And in terms of your work in animal welfare, what areas do you, in Europe, what areas do you want collaboration in?
If there are skilled people, we hope that they will contact us. I was contacted by some butchers a few years ago saying, look, I'm not vegan, but I really don't like seeing animals suffering during slaughter. Can I help? And I said, yes. And within a couple of weeks, we were on the plane to Turkey. So I need people to help with the training courses. Anyone with skills, but who is also rational and knows how to build bridges, not polarize society, please contact us. And I'm also asking companies that are interested, for example, slaughterhouses in Europe that are interested in helping slaughterhouses abroad develop a new program that improves welfare, to please contact us too. We have a few slaughterhouses here in Europe that are sponsoring some of the costs for the stunners for slaughterhouses in Ghana and Turkey, because they want to help out. So that's great.
Thank you very much.
And last month, we have just established a painless slaughter association in Turkey. So anybody is searching even in Google, so they can reach us and we can help them by...
What's it called, Ahmet? Maybe you should give the Turkish name.
Acısız Kesim Derneği. Painless Slaughter Association. So it's a legal association. It has been just set up and it has been accepted by the governor. So it has a legal address, it has an articles of association aiming what we're trying to do. So let's say in old times, if even a butcher want to do something like painless slaughter, he didn't have any choice where to look, how
no platform,
to reach, what to do. So at least he will somehow hear or learn from social media, from television, from internet, so he can reach us. So we will help them. We will give them the way. There's at least a solution.
Yeah.
What solution? Compassion.
Ahmed, before we started, I was having a chat with Leslie, and she also said you've got an animal sanctuary. Can you talk about this sanctuary? What animals you have? How many animals you have? What help you may need from funders around the world? Is it just pet animals, or do you also have food animals in your sanctuary, farm animals in your sanctuary?
Okay, we call that place Retired Animals Farm Sanctuary. So as you can understand from the name, it's not for the pets, because wherever you go in this world, people tend to spend money or rescue pet animals, mostly dogs and cats. But the others are animals, are also animals. We say that donkeys, cattle, sheep, goat, all animals are, because they have feelings. They have mammals. They are mammals. They are like humans, most of them. So those suffering animals, they are also abandoned. They are also having torture from the humans. Like we have so many cattle, cows, donkeys. They were dumped to the streets. They were used by people, and they just left because there are no more money for them.
It's so heartwarming that a Muslim community has initiated this thing to bring together, to bring animals, or to give animal a befitting place to express their natural behavior. Many of these animals, maybe they were kept animals, they didn't have the opportunity to express their natural behavior. So personally, thank you very much for doing that. So now we've come to the end of the podcast. I'm gonna go one by one to each of you to give me your final thoughts on animal welfare. I'll start with Aslat.
En laatste commentaar, Aslan.
diyor.
Gelmedi ses.
Son sözlerinizi alayım. Toplantıyı
Ha,
kapatmak
tamam.
üzereyim. Neler söylemek istersiniz hayvan refahı hakkında?
Şunu söyleyelim. Biz inanarak yolumuza devam ediyoruz. Bu yanlış anlamalar düzelecek. Belki yaşlı insanlar bunu anlamakta zorlanacaklar ama biz ümitle yolumuza devam edeceğiz ve bu işi başaracağız diye düşünüyorum.
We believe in our case. We have a hope for the future. Maybe old people will not understand us at once, but we have a hope in our hearts, so we will continue. We will not stop.
Okay, Ahmed, do you want to give your final thoughts?
Yeah, compassion, compassion, compassion. That's what we are aiming.
Leslie?
Yeah, and I want to thank you, Awel, for this opportunity. It's really great that we have this platform. Normally we're working on just a small little team, and actually we want to say this to the world. So thank you for this platform.
All right, thank you very much. If I need any clarification from you guys again, I will